Hello everybody, welcome to our bonus podcast for this week where we're going to be talking about our recent trip up to Manchester. We had a 3-day journey there. Well, it didn't take us 3 days to get there. Felt like it on the way. It's quite a way up from Southampton to Manchester, especially when there's heavy traffic. But no, we stayed there from Wednesday night to Saturday just last week, and we thought you guys would like to find out more about it. So I am Michael. Gemma is here, just to the side of me. Gemma.
I'm here, yeah.
Gemma is here.
I don't want to appear on... Actually, maybe I will today. Maybe I'll appear on camera today.
Are you really? Yeah, so for the benefit of our listeners, Gemma is now using our new Coronation Street sock as a sock puppet. That's going to be far too distracting to edit it.
I want to be part of this video.
Well, show your bloody face then, like me.
This is my face.
No, right, get rid of that. We're going to be talking about...
You don't like fun.
I don't like fun. There's no place on Coronation Street podcast for fun. We are going to be talking about a trip to Manchester, which we've decided to go on about... Always in the summer, we've been talking about this one for a while, haven't we? Because over on in Home Theatre, which is an independent theatre in Manchester, they were putting on a play written by Christine Mackie, who plays Dr. Gaddis on Coronation Street. We talked a bit about it when we interviewed her earlier this year, so we thought we'd go up and see it and combine it with some other usual Manchester things, including loitering by the gates and going to see some filming locations. So Gemma, overall thoughts on the trip? Nice time? Good time? Good for it? Get me that sock away.
I've got my sock.
Give me the sock back.
I want to be in it.
Oh, just be sensible with the sock.
I won't.
Right,
then. Fine.
Look, we're knocking the camera over and everything. This is rubbish.
What's the question?
Did you have a nice time in Manchester, Gemma?
I was ill.
Gemma was a bit poorly.
I
didn't know whether you wanted to mention that or not, but that's fine.
Yeah.
You had some tummy problems, didn't you?
Well, you've gone too far.
What were you going to say?
I just wasn't well, and every morning it was touch and go. That's where I was going to live.
But we did. We got loads of stuff done. It was a bit of a ropey journey on the Wednesday, because when did we leave? It was like 3:00 in the afternoon, was it maybe? Because you had to do your work first, and then we got there about 9:00 in the evening.
You had to do your work.
Well, thank you. Passing me a cup of tea now. It's excellent service.
You had to do your work. Do you remember? You went to school.
Oh yes, I did go into school last week for half term. Had to catch up with some planning and stuff, and then we went.
No, we can't.
Yes.
We have to leave because I don't like... Driving in the dark is not fun, and it's very, very... What was it? It was like 4:30 or something when it starts getting...
Yeah. And
we were still driving. We were supposed to get there about 7:30 and we didn't. We got there at 9:00.
Yes.
Because of a traffic jam.
Yes.
We were in it for about an hour and a half, and that was not fun at all.
We stayed at the Premier Inn in Portland Street, was it, in the centre of Manchester? We'd not done that one before.
It's a different room, different place to normal. I really like the location.
Yeah, it was nice and central.
It was only about 7 minutes walk to home.
Also, it got points from Gemma for being Halloween adorned, didn't it?
Yes, it had Halloween decorations up. I loved it.
Had loads of skeletons and cobwebs and stuff.
Minus points because they had 3 lifts and only 1 worked.
Yeah, that was the scariness.
That was scary.
It was like the scary, what was it, the House of Horrors in Disney World. I think that they'd gone a bit too far with it. Or maybe one of them had, who's that Tom Hanks guy that's in the lift?
Oh, Pumpkins.
David S. Pumpkins or something, was it? I don't know. Maybe he was going to be popping out of one of them. But we went there. It was okay. We turned up so late that they said, oh, sorry, we have to give you an accessible room. So I don't know whether the option would have been an inaccessible room, but it was fine with us because it just meant it was a bit bigger. We didn't need the accessibility, but we appreciated it all the same.
Yeah, I didn't. We had that before when we've gone places and they've given us an accessible room, and it's always really nice. But I feel like I hope nobody else needs this. I feel like you shouldn't really give them out to people. And also, if you know you've got somebody coming, why don't you have a room for them?
I don't know. So we did that. We had a Chinese meal very late. We were going around loads of places and getting turned away from them because they were all closed. But you knew one that was open until 2 in the morning or something, didn't you? It was great. They had a robot waiter there. It was like it's a little is it like a little remote controlled car thing with shells on and a little robot cat screen on the front end. It was brilliant. I loved it.
I'm trying to find the name of it because it's probably the only one that's really open.
Well, it doesn't matter. People are not interested in that. They want to know what Corrie stuff we went to. So that was kind of the Wednesday night. We settled in. It was all okay. And Thursday was the day that we went into Media City to go and do some Coronation Street stuff. Got the tram in. How long was it? 40 minutes or so on the tram or so. And we headed over to the Coronation Street experience where we got our first surprise of the day, which was that it was actually open. Eh?
Yeah, they said they would stop doing it and then they did it again.
Well,
it was open for 2 days that week, and it was 1 at 12 and 1 at 2.
Yeah,
So you couldn't just go in, which I thought was the original idea. No, you can't just go to the exhibit and look about.
Oh no! Well, yeah, we turned up there and we saw that the lights were on and there were people moving about inside. So we went in and they said, "Have you got a booking?" And we're like, "No, can we just?" Well, of course they did.
They said, "Have you got a booking?"
Yeah, a booking. That's what they said. And then we said we
okay.
just wanted to have something in the cafe, which they said they would, but then there's nobody about to serve us, so we had a nice little sit around.
Oh no, because they were having a do.
They were having a do upstairs, and I don't know what sort of do it was.
I think it was I think they just rent it out as a function area.
I don't know whether Coronation Street things were happening in there.
I saw a bunch of women coming over the bridge around the time that the do probably would have finished, and they didn't look like executives, and they were all carrying paper plates with like bread rolls on them. Which
I don't know.
I don't think executives do that.
If you've not been
if
you've not been to the Coronation Street experience recently, you might have been surprised, as we were, that it was all completely different in there, the downstairs area. So if you can picture it, if you've been before, there's usually the shop that's there on the right, and then the holding area for you is on the left. They've swapped them round, so there's now a much bigger area for the shop. It seems bigger on the left hand side where you'd normally be waiting. Just next to the cafe, and then on the other side it was a more empty space, which I guess is where they kind of shuffle people into when they're getting ready to go into the tour. It felt better, don't you think?
Yeah, it felt. I think the shop area looked really good today. When we went
on Thursday,
and they had some nice new things there, didn't they, Michael?
Well, they had some new socks, as we found out. I did buy.
It looks really.
I rescued my socks from the washing bin just to show everybody on the YouTube today. I hope you appreciate this, everybody. Luckily, you can't smell
They are smart.
They're quite nice. They're made of
bamboo. They're
bamboo socks.
Yeah.
There's some blue ones, some red ones, some green
ones.
It's a
pack
They're
of
lovely.
15.
I got the last
£15 for three
socks, yes. So now I can take my love of Coronation Street with me wherever I go. I want them to do a tie next. I'll totally wear a Coronation Street tie.
Yes, they should do.
Yeah, they had a few more Christmas things. I don't think there was anything new in terms of Christmas decorations. It was the same ones as they normally have, but they did have a nice tree there.
Yeah, they had a few Christmas decorations up, which I thought was a travesty, because let Halloween die before you start your Christmas.
There was no snifter of Halloweenness in the Coronation Street experience.
In the UK, because we don't have Thanksgiving, it's even worse, because at least in America they can have Thanksgiving things for a little bit, then they put their Christmas stuff up.
But you love Christmas.
I love Christmas, but Halloween needs to live.
Well, they didn't have any Halloween themed things to sell there, did they?
Well, what did they have that was Christmas
You take it up
themed?
with them. You take it up with them. Well, they didn't have anything. They had baubles and
stuff.
Can
I just say that Halloween on Coronation Street is more scary than Christmas is Christmassy, so they should lean into it.
Oh, well, I don't know. So we stayed there for about 10-15 minutes or so, and then we went to meet Dom from the archive at Coronation Street, who's always lovely. He always comes to see us.
He's lovely. I love him. He's great.
He brought us a present. He brought us the 2025 Coronation Street calendar. Thank you very much, Dom. Food themed, which is a favourite topic for Gemma. And we talked about, it's mostly talked about like compilations of things. If you've ever seen like on the award shows or even at the Coronation Street experience itself, like the compilation of clips that go to music, it's usually Dom who's put those together. So he was telling us a little bit about this and stuff. We stayed there for about 45 minutes or so with him, and then we headed off because we had a few things round Media City that we wanted to have a look for, including our first stop, which was the... Oh no, actually, before we even went there, we went round the front and we noticed a few new bits of decoration adorning the side of Coronation Street. Noble Street we saw, didn't we? Do you want to say...
Just the normal innocent street.
Do you want to say about
that? Well, if you've been watching the flashbacks on Corrie, you'll have seen that the outside of Joel's flats, or apartments, if you want to call them, has got like a big development sign on it saying like Noble Street. And so when we were watching the flashbacks, you're like, oh, what part? I wonder what part. I don't remember that particular part. I wonder where that is. And so we were walking down the road.
You can't miss it, can you?
No, we walked down the front, and we got to the because it's on the side of the building in front of where the police station is, and so I saw it kind of peeking up over the bricks, and I went, oh, look. See if you can get a picture. So you know the gates in Corrie where Roy walks out of the big prison gates.
Yeah.
That's actually like a loading area for like lorries and things to go in that way. I don't know if they use it, but
I'm not
it's
sure.
it's a drop curb and stuff, but there's like a gap between the bricks and the side of the gate. So Michael runs over and takes a photo, and there's all these cameras everywhere around there. So I'm sure that the security guards like find it hilarious or annoying, depending on what mood they're in that day, to watch all the crazy fans doing weird stuff. So Michael runs over and takes like a clandestine picture. And then we keep walking, and it's just like, you didn't need to do that, because it's so
very
visible.
obvious.
And it's like a two-sided kind of big billboard saying, apartments available. There's a new one available now as well, apparently. Some guy died, and so it's apartments available to rent.
It's just literally, if you go where the Noble Street sign is and then carried on straight ahead, you'd end up basically where the police station is. Then a little bit further than that, there's the precinct. So that was quite cool.
I mean, really,
it makes me wonder how long they're going to keep it up for.
Yeah,
because I would have thought, if they're filming late December, early January at the moment, I wouldn't have thought that they're still going to need stuff for Joel's. But then equally, why would you take it down? Maybe they'll keep it there and look out for further action to happen in Noble Street in 2025. Maybe
if you've been on the Coronation Street experience, you'll know they still have Gemma and Chesney's
they got the billboard
Fresco,
there, haven't they? Yeah.
Poster up under the viaduct. So
they don't take down things unless they need to, basically, in Coronation Street. This is very true. So we had a little look down there, and then we went over to the Trafford Park Hotel. Now, this is something that we'd probably driven past a few times before, but hadn't realised it's Coronation Street link.
We haven't been over there.
No, it was only about, 5-10 minutes walk from the front of the set, so it was a really nice, easy location to go to if you want to. And it was used a couple of times in the early 2000s. It's this massive kind of grade 2 listed building,
it's
sort of
gorgeous,
mustardy yellow, and
but it's
it's in a state of disrepair. Yeah, it's over 120 years old. I think 1902 it was built, and yeah, it's very ornate. And it was used once in Coronation Street when Chesney ran away from home. That was in 2007, I think, and he got splashed by a puddle outside of there. And then again in 2009 when Roy and Ken were arrested for suspected drug dealing. Basically, the story was that somebody had left their mobile phone in the cafe. Roy had taken it and found out where this guy would be outside the hotel, tries to deliver it to the guy, but unbeknownst to them, they're being watched by a couple of police officers who think they're doing a drugs bust. So there's some pictures floating around of Roy and Ken being arrested outside the Trafford Park Hotel.
There's exciting news too. If you couldn't afford to rent somewhere on Noble Street, because it looks quite pricey, you might want to rent somewhere in the Trafford Park Hotel, because
they're developing it.
It's going to be developed into apartments this summer. And
no. It was agreed this summer that it was going to be developed.
It will take a while. It does. It's a beautiful building. It broke my heart to see what it looked like.
It seems like they've been having a few problems with ownership anyway, because it was closed in 2009. And then sold 8 years later or so for £900,000. Then still nothing happened to it, and then again it was back on the market recently, and now it's supposed to be redeveloped. I don't know what's going to happen there, but it was a shame because it looked like the Trafford Park community was all kind of set up 120 odd years ago for the workers nearby, and there were churches, there was a cinema and all that area, and a lot of it's been bulldozed down or just reworked. There's a tram line coming through it, but it's a place that we'd not been to before, so it was nice having a little walk around, wasn't it?
But even more thrilling for a Coronation Street fan than living in the very building outside which Ken was arrested for drugs is to live across the road from somewhere you can go if you've got a problem with alcohol.
Yes, the Peter Barlow's AA support group meeting was filmed in that very area. And we had our backs to this building at one point, because the Google Maps is funny, but even though there are roads connecting the various places in Trafford Park, they don't appear on Google Maps. So it was telling us it's a half an hour walk from Coronation Street to this place. It wasn't. It was 10 minutes. We didn't realise that it was right behind us. And we walked away, and then we came back again. It was like, oh, there it is. It's just a building, really. But that scene with Peter at the AA meeting in 2009 is always cited as one of the classic Coronation Street comedy moments. Everybody loves that scene with Blanche making fun or just making scathing comments about the alcoholics there who are opening their souls about their battles with the demon drink.
Yeah, so if you're feeling sad one day and you live in Trafford Park Hotel apartments, just look out the window and just remind yourself of the comic scenes that were filmed.
Well, this is a building. It's called St Anthony's Centre, and it was linked to St Anthony's Roman Catholic Church that was there. I don't know whether that's still there or not. It might be. And so a community hub where you can go for various classes and things. Maybe actual AA meetings. I don't know. But yeah, in the scene, we went right around the back of it because we wanted to see the door that Deirdre was smoking outside of, and to see if the stair lift was there, because after all the drama up in the top floor where the scene takes place, you have Ken coming down the stairs and Blanche is slowly going down the stair lift looking incredibly smug with herself, and I was very pleased to say that the stair lift was there, place where the iconic Maggie Jones parked her bum once for that Coronation Street scene 15 years ago. We didn't go in. It looked a little bit... Well, there was a guy in there, wasn't there? And he came out, but it looked a bit closed and dodgy, so we didn't do too much.
It didn't look dodgy. It just looked like it was...
No, it looked like that we probably weren't...
Yeah, we were
not
dodgy.
Open to the... We
Our
looked dodgy.
presence was dodgy because we had no business being there.
Yeah.
But also, it was where... Wasn't this where Paul's... community meeting?
No, I don't think it was.
I thought they had a conversation and that hallway was in the background where Chaddy was talking to Paul.
No, I think that was somewhere else. You might be right. It was. I know, it doesn't matter. It was
don't listen to me about anything.
You don't know.
I just want to talk about food all the time. Apparently,
you might be right. I found it quite interesting. Earlier this summer, Jonathan Harvey, who wrote the episode, spoke about it and said that it was completely kind of off the cuff. As in, he was told for the script that he needed to produce 4 Barlow scenes, not really related to anything, and they had to be self-contained, never mentioned again. And so he just sort of wrote this script, one draft, delivered it, and then they filmed it, within days probably. So
that makes it even more legendary.
That legendary scene might never have happened if they didn't need those extra 4 scenes. So that was really cool going.
That's really amazing to consider what gold Jonathan Harvey wrote with that, and what a gift also to the actors too, because I'm sure they absolutely love filming stuff like that, but it's iconic.
So I mean, neither of those, from the outside, were particularly memorable Corrie locations. But then, if you want to do a Corrie tour of Manchester and go to somewhere that's very nearby the Coronation Street experience, then you can't go much wrong going to those places. But after that, we went back to Media City. It was kind of mid-afternoon then, wasn't it? And we did a little bit of gate loitering. You didn't want to stay too long.
I was ill. Gemma was still a bit ill. I had to go back to the hotel room because we had something to do I wanted to do in the evening, and I thought, I'm not going to be able to do it if I don't. So
Gemma headed back, and I was almost going to go with her. I've done gates before, but I'm glad I stayed because I went round the front first where the cars drive in, and there are a couple of other groups there. There was a family from Liverpool, which was I think a mum and her little daughter there, and there were also a family from Dublin who I ended up spending a load of time with. They were called, I've got them, Joe, Eva and Annie. So hello. I said that I'd give you a shout out, but they were great. So they said that they'd come over and they'd done the Coronation Street tour quite a lot of times. But they always like to pop over and do a little bit of hanging around the gates to see who they could see. And I stayed there and I was... just having a bit of a gaze over the railings at one point, and they came and said, "Oh, do you do the Conversation Street on YouTube?" I was like, "Yes, I did." So that was quite cool, being spotted and known, and they were just lovely. So I was telling them all about the podcast and about giving them tips about seeing the people outside both gates. It was great. They were really, really, really lovely people, and I think they were telling me they appreciated me being there as well. So thanks, I appreciated you, because one of the things that I find, if Gemma, you stand at the gates kind of 50% of the time, don't you? I
don't enjoy it.
You don't enjoy it too much.
I feel it.
You feel a bit exposed.
I don't really know how to explain it. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
I don't particularly enjoy it if I'm the only one there, so it was nice to be able to have these three to be able to chat with, so I didn't feel like I was just hanging around too much. But it was great, and we did see a couple of people that we were there. There were some that came in, some that went out that didn't stop. Ben Price came out at one point, I think. Anthony Cotton.
He saw you and was like, God.
Well, no, last time we went there, Ben Price did stop and he got out and he said hello to people, but this time he was in a rush, I guess. He didn't want to stop.
You never know. When they're on their way in, you got to remember that they are thinking about what scenes that you don't know what scenes they could be doing something really harrowing and something they're worried about, or or they could be running late or whatever. And when they're coming out,
I just want to get home.
want to go home.
So I never have any kind of expectation or think, well, they owe me to stop their car. But it's always nice when they do. So he was there. We had. Harry Lowbridge was there, who plays Logan. I think it was him. I'm not completely sure. He came out and he was sitting in the passenger seat with his window down, and he went past, and I was like, I think that's... And by then it was too late, so he didn't stop. Mikey North went in at one point, but we did see... and apparently beforehand, before we got there, they'd seen Jude Riordan going in as well. But we did have some people stopping to say hello, which is always lovely, including Luca Toolan, who plays Mason. He was just going into work, and he parked... If you imagine the front of the building, when they're going in, you kind of opposite side of the road to where the railings are. So he stopped there, and the lady who was working at doing the gates was trying to tell us, don't go across the road. If you want to see people when we go in, you got to be over that side, because us going over there was kind of blocking the traffic a little bit. So when Luca came, some of the others went over there. I didn't, because I didn't want to block the traffic too much, and I gave him a wave, and I think he noticed that it was me there. I gave him a bit of a thumbs up.
Who was it you waved to?
Luca Toolan.
Yeah, that's cool.
He knows who I am. And then later on, Samia Longchambon came, and that was lovely because she's
Maria.
big star, and she came there,
lovely.
and she wound down the window, and she even and the people that were there with me was so excited about seeing these people at the gate, because they hadn't been there as many times as us, I suppose. I was excited to be there, but they were mega excited about seeing these people. And Samia gave them a smile and the wave, and she beckoned them over and was like, do you want to get a picture?
Oh, she's lovely.
Really nice. So
lovely.
they went over there, and then I went over as well. And she knew who I was, because we'd seen that scene filmed with her once. She's really friendly. She's lovely. And she asked me if I was going into Coronation Street.
You should have got in the car.
I know. I should have snuck into a boot or something maybe. But I was like, no, sorry, can't go in. Then they're not letting me in today. She posed for a photo, and she said, I haven't got my Maria makeup on.
She looks beautiful.
Still looked radiant. Still looked lovely. You couldn't
tell at all. She's just gorgeous, beautiful.
So thank you very much to Luca and Samia for stopping. And it was just lovely. We were there for about an hour or so maybe. We also went back round the outside, because I was talking to Joe and Eva and Annie about the back gates, which they didn't seem to know about. So I said, well, this is where you can go if you want to have people who walk into work, and sometimes they'll come over the bridge. So we walked around the side, and it didn't take too long. I showed them where the Teenage Wasteland was filmed, just to the right of the gates. But we weren't there for long, and we saw somebody coming over the bridge, and even from a distance, I've seen this person so many times, I know who they are, even when they're tiny in the distance. It was Shelley King, who plays Yasmin, and I think,
to be fair, she's quite tiny up close as well, bless her.
She is tiny up close, even tinier in the distance.
She's very petite.
But I think out of all the people that I've ever seen in the back gate, Shelley King is, I'm going to say, by quite a wide margin, the person who we've seen the most.
Oh, I love her so
she's
much.
Brilliant. She came over, and she was happy to see us, and she posed for photos, and she was talking about this and that, and what's going on with Yasmin at the moment. It was really lovely. And then she went inside, and then I think we went back to the front again for a bit, and then we came out. We were just about to go home. We kind of... We're standing at the bottom of the bridge.
You needed a bunch of walkie-talkies, one group at the back and one at the front.
I know. That's how we should work it.
And then you need scooters.
Yes, that's how we should work it.
No, we were just... don't. I'm not. We're gonna get in trouble if we start.
Some people don't mind
Let's
stopping.
make a union.
Some people do mind stopping, and I like to think that I can tell when people don't want to be stopped.
Try to pick up. This is my biggest tip.
Pick up on the clues.
This is my biggest tip. If you're gonna spend any amount of time there, it would be good to try to look at body language.
Yeah. Do they want to stop or not?
So
we were just down the bottom of the bridge, and we saw that somebody was coming. And we just kind of stood around talking just to see if we could see who it was. And then Adam Hussein came out. So that was lovely. He was walking down, and he had his headphones in, but one of the others that was with me kind of was like, oh, and I was waving at him and saying, can we get a picture? And he stopped, and he took his headphones out, and we got photos with him. I don't think we talked particularly. I think Adam knew who I was. But I don't think I'd had a photo with him before though, so that was quite nice that we've got another one of
we
of
love him too. Well, we love the character he plays. Don't know very much about
Adam
but
at all.
I'm sure he's a lovely person.
I'm sure he is, but Ardy is brilliant. I always love a bit of Ardy.
We know that everyone who works on Corrie are all wonderful.
All angels. So then we went our separate ways. We went over the bridge, we went back into the main bit of Media City where the tram station is. We said goodbye, and I went on the tram, and I texted you to say I was coming back. And lovely final surprise of the day day, it was actually the Coronation Street tram, which is so the chances of that happening so minute, because there's only one Corrie decorated tram on the whole of the B network, and the fact that it just happened to be there.
It's always on that line.
No, it's not. It goes all over the place. Yeah. So it was really lucky that the tram that I went into
like
was it was fairly busy. I didn't get too many photos. But yeah, that was cool. That was really cool, going back into the centre of Manchester on the Corrie decorated tram, and I took a little video of it as it pulled away afterwards. It was a really, really good day. I love that day.
Just imagine if you had a bad day and you work at Corrie, you had a really bad day, and you come out and you used to go on the Corrie tram, you just be like, I hate my life. I hate my life.
Well, it made me smile. I had a really good time, and yeah, like I said earlier on, I wasn't sure whether I even wanted to stay outside the gate without you being there, but I'm glad I did.
Well, this was
Halloween.
We had
some lovely encounters. Yeah, it was, and we because you had what you wanted to do that evening, didn't you? Which do we talk about that? We can talk about that.
Yeah, well, I said I wanted, because Halloween is my favourite day of the year, and I'm going to say that this one was not my favourite because of how ill I was.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do something Halloweeny in Manchester because, it's a big city, lots of culture, amazing things. Surely ghosts everywhere, right? It makes sense.
Should have gone along to Key Street. We all know that's haunted.
Yeah. We should have done, really.
You went to walk instead.
I was looking for a walking tour, and they were all like booked up or quite expensive, and we've got to save money at the moment. So I found a free one, which was it's called the Halloween Walking Tour, and it's by New Manchester Walks.
Yeah, the guy who ran it was called Ed Glynnet, who I'd seen on Twitter before. I think I mean, he doesn't always
He follows us on Twitter, which I found
I don't know whether all his tours are always free. I assume
No. This was like a special. We did give him a tip. Otherwise, I think that it would be a bit rude. But we had to go newmanchesterwalks.com, right. And they were like, I don't know, what, really, 50, really 60 people?
Yeah, we went along to the Victoria station that we had to go to, and I was expecting, maybe 5 people there, but you're right, it was about 50 of us that turned up.
They didn't all make it to the end, because I don't think they wanted to tip him.
It was about an hour and a half or so, wasn't it?
It was fantastic. It was about the graveyards.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily, it wasn't a ghost tour, it was about the graveyards that had been
and the history of Manchester.
Yeah, it was really, really interesting. He was a really charismatic chap.
He's really great. He knew what he was talking about, and he was telling stories about like the cholera epidemic and how people reacted, and the burial sites, and digging up people's bodies. And
it was good for Halloween. Might not be everyone's cup of tea, but we enjoyed it.
And rebellions and executions. I was having the time of my life.
It was cool, and it was nice walking around Manchester in the dark on Halloween and seeing different bits that were decorated. Like there were these big blow-up monsters that were on the top of some of the buildings, lit up. That was cool. But yeah, it was a great tour. There was a couple of Coronation Street references in there, and then once it was finished, we stopped him, and I think not far into the tour, you said, "Oh, hello, we do a Coronation Street podcast."
He went, "What about current Corrie?"
Yeah, he said, "I don't like current Coronation Street, but I watched the classic ones." And no, afterwards we talked about. We asked him about whether he does Coronation Street tours, and he says he does sometimes. He talked about one that he did, like a coach trip one day, like an all-dayer.
Really ambitious. He said it was quite ambitious.
It's not really very easy, I imagine, to plot a route in the centre of Manchester because it's all kind of spread out. All the filming locations.
There's no real way of doing a Coronation Street tour unless you're going to go on the set, and no one's going to book a tour that doesn't involve going to the set. And it's a real shame. And I love Coronation Street, but I really, really wish they would make more of the fact that they are in Manchester. And I know that sounds silly because everyone knows it's set in Manchester, but there's so many beautiful parts of Manchester and so much history that they just never talk about.
I mean, I guess they're
too busy with having affairs and and dying in hospitals
rather than going on walks learning about the local history.
But do you know what I mean? There are so many fantastic places in Manchester, and it really feels like it could be a showcase for the culture of Manchester a lot more than it is. And I get why they don't do it, because it's not about that. But if I was in it, and I'd love to celebrate Manchester more in Coronation Street. That's why we learn about a lot of this stuff, and teach ourselves about some of this history, and try to engage with like some of the like companies and places and people, because I think it's really important to celebrate history and culture of places in this country. I love doing it.
Yeah. We finished off the night with another curry, didn't we? We went to, what was the place called?
It's called This and That, and it's a very iconic. It's an iconic
This
institution.
Okay.
Yes, and it's a very Mancunian thing to have rice and three, which is 3 curries and rice. And so there are lots of different places that do it. This place says it was the first, or like the pioneers of this concept. So you go in and it's like a buffet of like all the different curries of the day, and they change. There's actually a place that does it in Media City, and I forgot the name of it, but it's next to the barber shop that you went to.
Oh, okay. I had a couple of lamb curries and a chicken tikka
Yeah,
masala.
so they'll have like
Lovely.
6 or 7 different types, and you have your choice of 3, and it's very, very cheap, which is why we went there. So for 2 meat curries and 1 veg, it was £7. And you cannot get food that cheap.
No.
You know, well, there's lots of expensive restaurants in Manchester, which is fair enough. But if you want somewhere that's quite reasonable and is open, it's not open very late, but yeah, go. I definitely would recommend. There's some, if you like watching YouTubers like me. Gary Eats went there once, and he has a review of it, so you can see what it's like.
Well, I'm sure on our YouTube, while we're talking about it, we'll have a few clips as well.
They missed a trick, I think, because on Mondays they do lamb and pumpkin, and they didn't do it on the Halloween. I thought they should have done it as a special, but hey, I'm not in charge.
Friday, we did a couple of other filming locations. We went out to the country, didn't we, for a few places. So we.
And this was a shame because I normally love going out and walking and stuff, but I just
you were not feeling it.
I was like, I can't even go down the slight hill here because I feel too sick.
So the first place we went to, we tried to go, I think it was last year, we intended to go up to Springwater Park, but there was so much traffic on the motorway, we just totally, so we had to call it off. But this is a place that they used early last year where Nina fell into the River Irwell. So if you remember, the story was that Roy had was doing volunteer bat roost visitor accreditation, and he had to go along to this place in Medlock Woods, it was called, which is a fictitious woods in Weatherfield world, and he ended up going along to the side of the river. Then the meeting got called off.
He didn't know that he was the only one there.
Yeah, he went there on his own. Meeting got called off. His thermos flask falls into the river, and then when Nina, Brian and Asher, I think, go and try and look for him later, they see his thermos floating around in the water. This is night time by this point. Nina tumbles in, cracks her head, and the rest is history. Well, this is what inspired Asher to want to become a paramedic, isn't it?
I know, it felt really historic standing there in that spot where these characters had been before, and where such an important decision was made about one of my favourite characters. And I really, every time she appears on screen, I think back to Springwater Park.
Yeah. It was quite cool getting there. It was going through a bit of a suburban place, isn't it? And then there's a little cut through that you could go, and it's a very long winding path.
It's a housing estate, and then you go through, and then you go down this really long winding road
to the car park.
And there's just FYI, there are no toilet facilities that I could see.
I imagine that if you go in the summer, it was a really lovely place. I mean, it wasn't raining or anything when we went there, but it was a bit overcast.
Oh, it was overcast the whole time we were there. This was probably the worst weather we've ever had in Manchester. And
One of the worst.
Everybody says that it's got bad weather there, but we've been blessed every time with lovely sunshine, and it's always been nice. And this was the first time where I get the vibe of why people kind of get.
Yeah, but it wasn't like chucking it down with rain at any point.
It's also awful here at the moment. I think the whole country is covered in this gloom.
We're all feeling a bit dismal with the weather at the moment. But it was cool. You kind of it looks like there's a woods there that you can explore, a few grassy paths, but then you go down to the River Irwell where you get the muddy bank that Roy and Nina and that lot were walking around, and you could tell how Nina nearly fell in because it was very steep. You didn't go down there, did you? You took a few videos of me having a walk there, and I made a silly idiot out of myself, pretending to fall in as well.
I always think
just for the photo op.
We must just look so odd when we go to these places.
I think we probably do look a little bit odd, but
so I love this place too because this was declared a local nature reserve.
Just
last year.
Early last year,
which I think is lovely.
It was nice. It was nice. None of the places that we went to we stayed for too long because. Well, partly because of the weather wasn't brilliant and there wasn't a whole lot for us to do there. So that was about half an hour drive from the city of Manchester, kind of northwards, and then it took another 45-50 minutes or so to go to our next place, which was a lot more up to date, and I was really excited about going to this place. This was the Martham Viaduct that they recently used for the location of Joel's abandoned cars. So we saw this on screen, 4 or 5 weeks ago, when Swain and Kit and Dee Dee were there. Joel's gone missing. His car's been found abandoned under a viaduct, and they go and investigate. And Dee Dee, of course, heads out into a field and finds the second car under a sheet. Which, by the way, that field is not right next to the viaduct as it appears on screen.
No,
but
there's a river
it's about a 30-second drive up the road.
Yeah, it is just up the road. But this was so dramatic and beautiful.
It's really, really nice.
I think they did a fantastic job, whoever found this location, because that scene where Swain and Kit are walking towards the car, and you get this shot of this kind of really gorgeous vaulted ceilings of this viaduct. It did feel like a proper crime drama.
Well, they used some drone shots on the episode as well. But yeah, we parked the car there. It was a bit puddly. Had to leap over a few puddles. Took some videos of the area.
If this is really public, I think it is.
I think that was. But then, if you were to go further in the road, so if you can imagine the episode, Swain and Kit are driving down the road. They stop under the viaduct. Any further than that looked like private farmland, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we didn't go on to there.
Yeah, and there's also a river that flows right near it, so I wonder whether that river's the same river they filmed on for Joel's body, but we still don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where that was.
That's going to be really hard to find because it's just generic river.
Woodland
Woody,
river, yeah. But so we had a few pictures there, then we went up to the farm, to the gate,
and this
that
is
Dee Dee went through. We
don't
couldn't
go in there.
We couldn't go into the grass, but we could see the old tumble down farm building that the car was parked next to. Yeah, exactly. So that was nice. Was it worth about an hour and a half driving just to get there, and then another hour or so getting back? I don't know, maybe. Hope you guys at home appreciate the fact that we've been there.
If you like country walks, there were definitely two areas. So underneath where the viaduct is, there was a route.
Yeah.
And then just where we parked our car, which was like, a few steps away from this private field, there was another area for walking, which I would definitely recommend if you, like I said.
I don't know whether we'll ever go back there, but it did seem like, as you say, a really nice place for a country walk. I think height-wise on a map, it's about the same as Blackpool. So if you were to go due west from there, you'd hit kind of Blackpool area. So yeah, it's a lovely place to go, and like you said, a really, really good shout for the location scout who found that for a particularly memorable Coronation Street scene. So we went there, went back, stopped off at a Starbucks, and we had another Chinesey kind of meal, didn't we? We went to Malatang, was it called?
Malatang Express.
Yeah, I'd never been to a place like this, but this was really cool. It was in the centre of Manchester, wasn't it? It wasn't too far away from where we were staying, and you could just choose lots of little bits and pieces to go in a broth, like little meatballs or they didn't have dumplings. What
Is
else did they
anything
have?
you can put inside
Chinese leaf
in hot pot?
Yeah,
so all lots of different vegetables. They had the duck blood pancake stuff and fish cakes and meatballs and spam and potatoes and
lovely.
It was absolutely gorgeous, and you could pick what kind of stock you wanted.
You weigh your bowl of stuff,
Yeah.
give it to them behind the counter, and then
They
say
cook
what
it for
broth, or how I had it like a dry peanut buttery one. It was really, really
And
nice.
I had the signature malatang.
Yes.
And you can then make your own dipping sauce like you would do if you were at a hot pot place. So with your sesame paste and your soy sauce and your vinegar, and it was really good.
So I think when most people think of going for a hot pot in Lancaster, they think of the traditional Natty Williams one, but
Lancashire.
no, we had a Chinese
I know. I don't
one.
think there is anywhere
That's
you
lovely.
can get a hot pot really, apart from Manny's.
Apart from Manny's, yeah. That evening, finally, we got to the main reason that was why we wanted to go there, which was heading over to home to see Christine Mackie's show. So this was called Kin. And it was fantastic. We absolutely loved this. This was starring Roberta Kerr, who played Wendy Crozier or Wendy Papadopoulos in Coronation Street. So that was another great reason to go and see it. And also Kerry Willison Parry, who we didn't know of, but apparently she'd done a couple of bit parts in Coronation Street.
Yeah, she was the
vicar. She was a vicar for. It was that funeral that Dean. Dean was the name of the character, wasn't it? One of Clayton and Macca's.
Was it the dad?
Yeah, I think maybe Clayton's dad. I can't remember. But anyway, she was a vicar there, but she was fantastic. So basically, the story was these two sister-in-laws. We don't want to give too much away because I don't know whether this is going to tour again. It really, really should.
I really want people to see this.
Two sister-in-laws come home after a funeral and There were basically revelations about the deceased that play out across the course of the hour and a half.
It was an hour and
40.
55 minutes with a 20-minute interval,
Yeah.
and it was like watching a really good episode of a soap.
It was like a soap opera. You're absolutely right. There were just revelation after revelation after twist after twist. It was brilliant. I really, really loved it. And before we went into to see the show, we happened to see Shelley King as well. So her and her wife Trilby were there. So I was just hanging around waiting while you were in the loo, and I saw her there. So we had a chat with her as well.
And she was loving it as well.
Yeah, I would really, really recommend seeing this show if it does.
If it comes,
if it goes
anywhere.
near you anyway.
We had a lovely chat with Christine afterwards, and she was saying how much she loved the podcast again about Dr. Gaddis. So I was so happy that we did that, and she enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And so we were telling her how wonderful the play was, because she's written this and it was just fabulous. And also the two actors, we already knew that Roberta Kerr was good, but Carrie Williamson Parry she was fantastic, because these two women were both kind of one of them was Roberta played a northerner who was like a stern businesswoman, and then Carrie played this bubbly aristocratic kind of failure at life, really, and they just clashed, obviously, and they were just so blooming good.
So good.
And I also love the way that Carrie was needling her. The character's name was Kay, and the bubbly posho was Steph. And so she was always like needling Kay about being northern. But then when Kay would get stressed out or something would happen, her accent would get really, really broad. And it was, I just thought
it
the whole
was really
thing,
smartly done. Both of us,
the characters.
we didn't know what to expect when we went.
No.
We wanted to go to support Christine and also to see Roberta on stage, but both of us came out just absolutely raving.
I was buzzing
it.
about
It was
it.
one of our favourite things we'd ever seen on stage. Honestly, it was
really genuinely
really, really good.
So
get
fun.
Christine Mackie on the writing team. Honestly,
We told her that
when she's not writing prescriptions, get her writing episodes for Coronation Street. She has a talent there.
She's so talented. I told her she was so talented, and
it was brilliant.
The performances, I couldn't believe it. I thought it was fabulous.
Yeah.
And of course, we had a couple of other Corrie peeps.
Oh yes, there were.
Hannah Ellis Ryan is the producer, and she played Australian fake Katie.
She wasn't. We didn't see her there. She might have been there. I don't know. But how was she involved in it again?
She's producer.
Oh yeah, that's right. She was the producer of it. Yeah.
She's done lots of she's done vignettes too, I think. Because she works for Her Productions, which is part of it's like a female theatre company. And then Sue Jenkins is the director.
Yeah.
And she played Gloria Todd in Coronation Street.
Yeah, she was a barmaid, Gloria, in the 80s. She directed it. As far as I knew, she wasn't there. It would have been nice to see it. It would have been nice to have been able to have seen Roberta afterwards, but I don't know whether... We didn't stick around for too long, did we?
No.
Once the show was over, we had a lovely chat with Christine, and then we kind of moseyed on off, and Shelley King and Trilby had to go pretty quickly as well. So yeah, we headed back, and then we did a bit of recording of podcast, and that was it. Apart from on Saturday, we took a little bit of a detour on the way down south to go to another filming location.
Stupid.
Well, it made sense to go somewhere on the way because it was south-ish of Manchester, or maybe it was a bit more to the west, I don't know. But we went along to the Tiger Moth pub, which was used in Coronation Street earlier this year when Lauren was hiding out. So there was the whole mystery of who's killed Lauren, what's happened to Lauren, Lauren's gone missing, whatever. But yeah, she'd reappeared again in the hospital, then done a bunk, and then eventually Joel and Dee Dee and who was with her? I can't remember who the last person was. Alia, maybe? I don't know. It doesn't matter. They found her hiding out in this pub, and it was over in Earlham. I don't know how to say it. So we went and stopped the car there.
I would say Earlham, but I don't know if that, because I think of a...
It felt like a bit of a scary area, didn't it? It made me lovely. I might be getting it completely wrong here, but we didn't stick around for too long because it gave a bit dog and gun vibes.
No, because it was an area for where people lived, and it's rude.
I kind of said I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna take a few pictures. I did a few bits of recording there just to have it there on film, but it didn't stay for too long. I didn't even go all the way
wouldn't
around
drive
the front.
down our road. if I didn't live here. I don't know who you think you are.
Well, it was nice to stand in the place where Shanique Sterling-Brown and Kate Fitton and some of the others had once stood. But like the other places, there wasn't so much to do apart from saying, oh, we were here. And then we went. So
one day what we're hoping will happen is some kind of quantum event that will kind of jolt through time and space, and we will suddenly be able to either see like a time slip event where we watch the filming happen, or perhaps
I see.
the consciousness of one of the actors might appear inside our brains.
I still think that one of these days we should
It
plot
could
a route,
happen.
and so we can see how many filming
Challenge.
locations we can visit on a day. That's a challenge, isn't it? That a YouTube kind of challenge.
That's definitely a summer challenge.
Yeah, definitely a summer. Not a last week of October, first week of November challenge for sure. Anyway, that was it. We headed back. It took us another 5 or so hours to get back home, and that was yesterday, and that was our trip to Manchester. So just a short episode, but hopefully you've enjoyed hearing about our experiences there and meeting some of the cast and some of the places. And I don't know how many people take our recommendations for going to see some of these Corrie places and go and find them yourselves, but you can see them all if you go onto our blog. There's a map of Coronation Street filming locations that we've put there, and I think everywhere that we've talked about today has been on there. So if you ever want to go and check it out, you can, and you should. But that's it. Anything more we want to add for today's Gemma before we finish?
No, but if I can't be a sock, then I'm never going to be on this show again.
You can be a sock. You can be a sock puppet and say goodbye if you want to.
I want to, yeah.
Just for the YouTubers.
This is for the YouTube people.
We're going to be here's the sock. There's sock Gemma just appearing. We're going to be going to Manchester again very, very soon. So if you liked this, hopefully you'll like what we've got in store. But for now, from me, from Gemma, from my lovely Coronation Street sock puppet here, goodbye. Leave me
I'll
alone.
give you a kiss.
Oh, thanks. Ah, how cute. Stinky. Right, go. Goodbye, everybody. See you next time. Ta-ra.
Bye.